Theis, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really
No,
pleased to get the opportunity to talk to you about your film Eagles of the Republic, which just premiered in Cannes and nominated for the Palme d'Or. We're going to get on and we're going to talk a good bit about that, but maybe you could start by you telling us how you first became an editor, how you first got involved in post-production.
I started working in films when I was 16. I worked as an assistant for a screenwriter. Um, and then I don't know, it just popped to my head that I wanted to be an editor and I thought I would be good at it. I had never tried it. So then I just came up with I was still in school and came up with a plan that okay, I wanted to reach out to editors and see if I can just see how they worked. So I did that and had a plan that yeah, my plan was to that was back in mid 90s, and my plan was to attend the Danish Film School in 99, and they take 6 students every second year. So it's yeah, but I was sure that I could do that, and I did.
So tell me a little bit of how you came to first work with Tariq Salah, who directed Eagles of the Republic, because you've worked with him for quite a while.
Yeah. First, we met through a mutual friend, Daniel Espinosa, who I've also done quite a lot with, and we went to film school together, Daniel and I. Um, and then Tarek had a film, Tommy, and he wasn't super pleased with where it was going, so he called me. I was like, "Can you just can you come have a look and maybe work on it for a week?" As a sort of like, yeah, this thing that happens with sometimes someone will ask, "Can we have someone to help us fix this somehow?" So I was called in for that, and we saw it. I was like, I really, I, yeah, I think we can make this a lot better, but not in a week. We need to sort of
Mm.
do it for real. And then yeah, so we started out. I said, yeah, like I said I need a month or a little bit more than that. And then yeah, it just I don't know. It sounds stupid, but this feeling where you just connect with someone, and it was so strange. I probably haven't seen the film, but there's a song in the end, towards the end, and we sort of it's an old Swedish song, and he and I we sort of I called him. I was like, I think we have to end with this song. Yeah, for me it was the song in the old version, and he was yeah, but I have this version that Lykke Li, one of my friends, she did this, and I had the exact same thought.
Mm.
So yeah, so it's this sort of very nice. It happens sometimes, I think, in our profession, where you just sort of sync your brains and move in the
Yeah.
same direction. So it's not about what I want or what he wants, and it's just about the film.
And by the time you come to cut Eagles of the Republic, you've worked with him quite a bit, I think, have you? You've done three or
Yeah,
four
yeah,
films.
yeah. No, I have. So now we've worked together for I don't know, 12 years or more.
Okay. So you must be
Yeah,
very, very, very closely in sync by now in
yeah.
what
No,
he's
now
trying
we
to
are
do.
super in sync. I mean, my family calls him my second wife because we talk too much on the phone. Yeah, yeah. So
So we'll talk about Eagles of the Republic because the first thing that struck me obviously is you're a Danish film editor. This film
yeah,
is in Arabic.
yeah.
Uh, do you speak Arabic?
No, not at all.
So
Not
how
at. No,
how do you know if this film is any good? How can you cut this film?
maybe I don't. But it's no. But it's. I mean, it's my fourth film in Arab. So the first one I did was a documentary from Cairo about garbage, and then we have done 3 features in Arab together. Um, so it's. I don't know. I mean, everything is translated for me. I have, of course, then the select notes from the shoot, and I can ask him
Mhm.
or someone else just. But then again, I think at least for me, it has sort of set me free a little bit.
Okay.
That I you sort of look beyond the dialogue and just look at how do the characters behave, small face and expressions, and I think that's universal. That's not language detailed. Um, and it's and then of course I miss something. I mean, if I could totally understand it, I would probably see something
Mm.
that, I mean, there's things in there that I can never experience, that uh, a lot of the audience that speaks Arab, uh, they experience another film than I do, and that's, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a problem. I mean,
Okay.
we haven't shown it, and we do show it to people
Mm.
also to take that into consideration. Is the Arab good enough? And
Yeah.
I have, yeah,
So,
people who only screen it for that,
yeah.
because, of course, Arab is not only Arab. There's so many So yeah, our films take place in Egypt, and the Egyptian Arab is very different from Palestinian or Lebanese or uh, 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 more sort of
Mm.
Qatar, or
Yeah.
and of course the actors come from all over. So there's a lot of post sync with dialogue in the end.
So when you're starting, do you, because I want to ask you about your process on this film,
Yeah,
and I suppose the very first thing is, when do you get involved, and how soon are you involved in the film? Are you on location?
I used to be, but not for this one because I was finishing another project. But I'm basically involved from early script stage. So he will, as soon as he feels that it's time, he shares the script with me and the production designer Roger Rosenberg and Fares, and start to sort of the process of discussing the film.
Hmm.
So it's really early on. Um, and then in an ideal world, the process, so how we normally want to work is that I I start the day when the shoot starts, the edit starts, um, and in a before COVID, I had like the first week on the shoot just to, yeah, it's nice to get a sense, a feel of the vibe of this the crew. How do they work? Because I'm very specific about giving feedback on things I watch. I mean, maybe it's a method for everyone. I don't know, but my method is that I try to only talk about things I like.
Okay.
So I will not give notes about things they have to fix unless it's obvious.
Yeah.
And I must say, with it almost never happens. But if I start to sort of say I like this, um, instead of one, you get, 5 or 10 of those.
Yeah.
Where and I'm no longer sort of like the annoying guy sitting somewhere else telling them what to do at all. I'm sort of more, it's more a collaboration.
So is that in an effort to bring a positivity to what you're doing? Like, is
Yeah,
that a very
and to
positive attitude?
exactly, and eventually, because I mean, and that's actually goes for the whole process, because I feel that if I should only look for mistakes for if a year or whatever you spend, it's just too much. It's so much more fun to feel that, okay, but it's not about that. It's about making the material live, and it's so much easier to bring things to life that you fall in love with, instead of sort of leaning back and, yeah, I don't know if it makes sense, but I do not like to come up with explanations
Hmm.
why things are not working, because that's not my job. My job is to give to fall in love with the film and the actors and everything, and to bring a beautiful experience to the audience. They will not any. I mean, it doesn't make sense for them to hear about how hard it was, or blah blah blah, what you
Yeah.
struggled with. They should just be able to experience, have 2 hours with a wonderful story in the cinema.
Well, that's a really good, it's a really positive kind of experience. It's a really positive attitude. It's really commendable.
For
So,
me, yeah, I don't know.
hmm,
It doesn't take me anywhere. It doesn't take me
yeah,
to a nice place. Then it's just hard work.
yeah, okay, well,
and uh, and and I see it as a very privileged work. That, I mean, I go to work every day, and I it's my hobby, and someone pays me for doing what I love.
yeah,
It's very nice. It's like if I could live on playing guitar or whatever. You could, whatever hobby you have, or
Yeah. I'm very sorry that wasn't my last question. That would be a perfect place to stop, but I have so many more. From a practical point of view first, before
yeah,
we get into the craft, but because obviously of the language issue, does everything get subtitled for you as
yeah,
you start?
yeah. It's an assistant job that will just translate everything. Um, yeah, and some of it is then a little bit all over the place, but it is easier with a feature because, of course, they move a little bit around in terms of the lines, but not too much.
Mm,
So they, they basically say what's in the script.
okay.
Um, and yeah, but and it's and but it seems that it's not that complicated. I remember, I'm sorry for old time stories. When I was in film school, we were on a trip to LA, and we met with Tim Squires, and he talked about doing a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and of course we had the same question. And he said, "But I did my first cut. I did the dialogue with absolutely no mistakes, and I even moved it around." And we were like, "Yeah, yeah," but because I hadn't tried it, but it's not, in a sense, especially when it's written dialogue, it's not
Mm.
that difficult. I think you get a sense for I think you get a sense for the rhythm and the musicality of the language.
What
And
that
as
was
soon
the
as you have that, it's easier to say, okay, so this must be a sentence. This must be, and of course, now I've done it quite a lot. So I recognize more and more words,
Mhm.
and that helps me.
Yeah. Oh, that's because I was
Um,
going to say, because that it does strike me that, like you were saying earlier, that must very much liberate you from following the words and feel much more about the rhythm and feel much more about the
yeah,
the
yeah,
the
yeah,
musicality and the
yeah.
performance.
The first time I, yeah, was on a documentary, just with, and that probably happens a lot, just with transcripts. That was very hard, I think. Yeah. So of course it's a big job, and to have everything translated into
Mhm.
picture, but it just, I mean, yeah, maybe it's expensive, but it's much more expensive the time you spend not, being lost, and even more expensive if you do a ton of mistakes, and all
Of
of a
course.
sudden someone sees it and says, "Yeah, that's nice," but nothing makes sense.
So once you've got all that's been done, so tell me a little bit about how you like to work. Do you like to assemble scenes quite quickly and look at them, or do you like to really look at the rushes and think about how you put things together?
I think my process is that I just, yeah, as I said, I like to start right out of the gate. So that means I get material in, but just as soon as, let me think, some of it is going back to this thing about positivity. A lot of it is driven by, that's the luxury you have when they're shooting, and at least unless they ask sort of, can we see a version of this and this and this? It's for a while just up to me to sort of fall in love with the material. So I try to do that, basically do stuff that's easy to do. Um, but I don't like the assembly idea. I like that I do a scene and I watch it and I like the scene. And I try to sort of, if possible, have, yeah, we normally, not on this one, but normally the composer would have come up with some sort of temp score stuff. So yeah, I like to do all the tricks right out of the gate. If there's a radio playing, I would put that on.
Hmm.
I would, yeah, just yeah, to sort of build the world in the film right out of the gate.
Okay, that's interesting. So you do a
Because
lot of sound work, yeah?
yeah, I do a lot of sound work. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, right out of the gate.
yeah.
So I have a very nice sound bank with soundscapes made from me in, yeah, different Cairo soundscapes.
Hmm.
Because of course, with a film like this, that's maybe, sorry if that's a little off track, but we are, or the, yeah, Tarek is, and that goes for me as well, are persona non grata in Egypt, so we cannot shoot in Cairo.
Okay.
And so this one and the last one was shot in Istanbul. So there's also this, okay, Istanbul is a very different place from Cairo. How do we build that? And a lot of that is sound. sound, songs playing on the radio, blah blah blah, all the things you build outside the frame. And I want to do that, as create the illusion of the film as soon as possible, if
So
that makes sense. Yeah,
oh, I mean that makes perfect sense, and I mean it's interesting because editors feel very differently about sound. And I spoke to someone
yeah,
recently who does no sound,
yeah,
and who just gives a very dry. But that's, I mean, and that's what you're describing is really the way I work as well. It is to kind of create that world as you go. So I imagine then when you get to your first assembly or your first cut, I suppose assembly is the wrong word, to your first cut, you're looking at something that really feels like a film, very, very much so in terms of
yeah,
the way the care that you've
yeah,
put into the pictures and the sound.
yeah.
Uh, so tell me then about where the director fits into this workflow with you.
The first time, if possible, the first time we meet, I've been through all the material, and then we meet up and we just, uh, we talk, blah blah blah, and then because yeah, it's always hard this first view. You're like, you just wanna, yeah, and then just rip off the bandage, and we just sit, and it just rolls, and that has developed over the years. So the when we did our first film together, it was a very sort of nerve-wracking, and I didn't know anything about Cairo, so I think the world building I was pretty wrong, but the scenes were good. Uh, but for this one, it was very nice, but also scary. We will normally we will just see 20 minutes, one
Mhm.
act at a time, and then stop and talk about it. So, but we just press play, and then when we're like, okay, let's stop here, we had seen, I don't know, 45 minutes that were quite nice. And that's, of course, always scary because even though I have a positive mind, these versions are, if I mean, they're I have a positive mind because I know I can keep on going, but it's not meant to be a final film. It is a little bit, you don't, I mean, a lot of it is just moving forward with your
Hmm.
eyes closed a little bit. You don't know where you're going, basically. It will slowly, the film will teach you where you're going. Um, but then we sort of watched that. And this time it was maybe too nice because you're like, holy shit, where do we go from here? But but then it's just collaboration back and forth.
Yeah.
We try that. Yeah, uh, we see each other maybe 2 days. We work together 2 days a week, and then apart for 3 days.
And do you like
And
that working on your own? Do you like that space just to try things without someone looking at you?
yeah, but of course that only works if you know each other well, and
Mhm.
that you, yeah, that I mean, he has to trust me a lot. Sorry for that
Mm.
to happen. And he does. And of course, it's not like we are totally separate. Then I do stuff and send him scenes and that he watches and we talk about them. So a lot of our process is also just long that I take the dog for a
Mm.
walk and we talk about, so it's more up in the air. It's not,
Yeah.
which I kind of like, but I like to work alone, and I've learned that over the years. But it takes a lot of discipline, of course.
There's a few scenes that I thought we could talk about. There's a lot of dialogue, obviously, and we'll come back to that.
Yeah,
But often I find that some of the scenes that have no dialogue can be some people can find them quite difficult because they you
yeah,
have to find the pacing for yourself. There's a
yeah,
scene where George goes to the hotel for the first time
yeah,
to meet the minister's wife. Can you
yeah.
tell me a little bit about putting that scene together? Because I think it's about 3 or 4 minutes long, and there really is no dialogue in it.
Yeah, the scene basically it starts. George is home in his apartment. He puts on a record that he likes, which is a sort of a revolutionary song. It used to be translated. Now it's not translated in the film anymore. But it's, yeah. And he sits there and he listens and he gets a text that he doesn't understand it. So he's like, okay. And then he's like, what? and it's an at what do you call that? It's
It's
the
an
thing
alert, a booking alert for
a booking alert for a hotel, and it's like, okay, shit, he has a hunch, and then he sits in his car, and like I said, working with music that was already done in the edit, so we sort of moved from that song to it's the same song but a more trashy version done as a cover many years later that just plays in his car, and he's a little yeah looking forward to this, and he's driving in to the hotel, and then we really sort of slow down because and again built with he walks into the lobby, build that with that you feel that you're in a lobby, hard cut, then uh, you're in the sort of like the hall,
mm.
not the hallway, what do you call
Yeah,
those, a
the hallway,
corridor,
yeah, the corridor,
yeah,
yeah.
the whole, and there it's really sort of there's carpets all over, it's really silent, you maybe hear a ventilator that's broken, so we really sort of shift gear, and then move into the hotel room where fortunately there was pretty nice sound work, so the footsteps were nice, we didn't have to, all of a sudden it really slows down, so we stay in one, all of us, yeah, as I recall, we stay in one take. So he just goes in. We experience the whole room with him. He sits. He's like, "What is this?" And then it knocks on the door. He goes out. He opens. It's really nice and slow. Yeah, a long build up,
Mm.
and then we move into an even wider. She comes in, and we see her, and you get that he's not. I think he's someone who has been in those situations quite a lot, but not like this. And because the actors are great, you
Mm.
get that this is different. She takes control, and and then it's wonderful scene where they kiss, and you almost get the feeling of a sex scene, and then we cut.
Yeah.
Yes, still next day, beautiful Cairo in the morning, and then then there's the first dialogue is a dialogue in
Mm.
they're smoking cigarettes in a bed.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
nice. There's a lovely rhythm to it. There's a lovely, really gentle rhythm
yeah,
to it. But at the same time, yes, like you were saying, there's a build up in it. There's a build up in it. A scene that's very different to that is the scene, and this is I hope people will have seen the film when they see this, and if not, well,
yeah.
spoiler alert, but
Spoiler alert. Move on.
there is an attempted coup at
Yeah,
about at a point in the film, which is a very big scene, a lot of extras, a lot of special effects on set, a lot of explosions, helicopters. Tell me a little bit about putting that together because I imagine that's a like such a big scene, such a big plot moment needs a lot of care and attention.
yeah, and it did. But of course, with scenes like that, it's a little bit first you sort of do there. I have to do an assembly because it contains so many parts. So it's more like it's more like an action piece where it is basically more planned. You have to come up with some sort of plan when you shoot it and storyboard it and all that. But we had a very nice realization with that scene. So it's of course shot so you can totally understand what's going on. And we worked with that for a long time. And then we were like, oh, it doesn't really we do not feel the scene. It's wonderful, but we can't feel anything. So we sort of realized, no, I mean, it has to be, we can only experience how it is to be George in that scene with everything that's going on. And we just see, okay, this is a spectacle. Now he thought he played the president. Now you see, okay, here is the actual guy. This is how people are around the actual guy. And at that moment, George just feels small, and he has to do a speech that is eventually he sells out. He doesn't like the president, but now he's been playing him for a while, and he almost, because he's an actor, he almost feels the guy. Um, and then the film changes in a moment. It's just I hope so. Please see the film and then this, and maybe it doesn't spoil anything. I mean, because you know that I feel that the film is built so you know something big will happen. You just don't know what.
Yeah.
And from then on, the film just really, yeah. So another important point is that there's not too much score throughout the film, but there is score throughout the film. But from this point on, we move into total reality, is the idea. And again, there's a lot of action, but we really, really try, because there is wonderful set piece shots that we just had to get rid of. So we are just down with him on the floor. What can he see? What can he feel? How is it? We need to sort of feel the chaos of how is it to actually experience a coup when it takes place.
And then to jump forward then to a scene, there's a scene near the very end of the film, which is a lovely dialogue scene in the car, which is a very quiet scene, but it is packed with fear and with menace and with threat. But tell me about putting that scene together, because it could not be more different to the two scenes we've just discussed, but it is so powerful in itself.
Our ambition is that the dialogue scene should be even more intense than it should. Yeah, it should feel more intense than a crazy action scene. Because I mean, here we have a scene with our main character and the antagonist, and they're in a car. We have seen what the antagonist is capable of, and he's just so calm. But we've seen, I mean, there's another spoiler that we've just seen him order people thrown out of a helicopter, so he doesn't care. Uh, and George is fighting for his life, being the actor he is. He's trying to lie, and this you cannot lie to this guy. And slowly he's just begging for his life, but in a beautiful way. It's not like please, please, I don't want to die. It's not that kind of dialogue. But he's trying I love my country, and
Well, it's a really lovely scene, and it works so well at the end of the film because it's quite surprising that not surprising perhaps is the wrong word, but it's a very quiet but very intense way to bring the film to an end.
yeah.
So tell me, how long did you spend on this film? How long were you working on it in total?
Um, the total edit is I think 30 between 35 and 40 weeks, 35 weeks.
Mm,
So that's from yeah. So that was from mid July 24, and then up on
mm.
last adjustments, I
Yeah.
don't know, 2 weeks before Cannes.
So,
Uh, but we work in, then
yeah.
it's in overlap. So the first overlap was our wonderful
Mm,
composer, Desplat. He needed a version pretty early, just something he could see. So he was the only one who just saw we
mhm.
showed anything early on. So like 2.5 months into the edit, we needed some sort of version that he could see. But then
Mm.
sound starts in January or something, and visual effects as well. And
Yeah.
then we just overlap. And
So,
I go through everything. I'm also in the mix and everywhere.
and when you get to the end, do you look at it now and do you think yes, or do you look at it and do you think I would like to make one
No,
small
no,
change?
I feel that we've done. There will be small. It's always like that. There's small changes. Some, yeah,
Yeah.
music that we didn't get the rights to that I have to change and all. But there's
Mm.
right now no editorials. Real sort of. For me,
Mm.
the film it just it's sort of it just takes a while for it to come to life in your head. The how precise and what it is. So and that's hard to navigate because I know, maybe 2 months before you're done, there is a version of the film that everybody you show it to are like, wow, and it's, and that, yeah, but you have to keep on going because
Mm.
definitely not there yet. And it's just these small details, they will come along and they will be smaller and smaller. But it is important that you, at least I think, to sort of spend as much time as anyone will give you because end of the day
Mm.
on a film like this, editing is not that expensive compared to it's. I mean, it's writing and editing. Everything
Mm.
else is expensive.
And it obviously it's been in Cannes. It's done very well. It's hopefully it'll be in the cinema soon. So I mean, congratulations! I think it's a wonderful film. I've had the pleasure of watching it a couple of times in preparation
Thank
for
you.
this. So just to finish up, now that that is done and that is out in the world, what's next? What are you working on? Are you working on anything interesting at the moment?
No, right now I'm just relaxing. Actually, this has been a overlapping project for I don't know 2, 3, maybe 4 years. So it's actually nice to sort of take a little break now.
Yeah. Well, Theis, that was wonderful. That was really insightful, and thank you so much for your time. And
No, you're welcome.
yeah, let's talk more when the next one comes out.
Yeah, I will. Thank you. Okay, bye.